4 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We've had our share of illnesses, coughing. I think Robin was the first one to get something here at the station. Joe Martone is out today because he's got something going on. It started yesterday. His started out with a headache, and I know he was feeling awful. And I knock on wood when I say this because I don't want to jinx myself. It's a very big superstition. You knock on granite or whatever you got in front of you. I have been the guy who was always complaining about headaches, and I haven't for a long time. I don't know what I did right, but suddenly I have been free of them, and I don't want to say it because I want to jinx it. But anyway, we're going to talk about headaches today, and we have in the studio Dr. Gordonoff Nelson. He's been with us before, and he's going to speak about headaches. He is a primary care provider with Family Care Specialists who treats patients of all ages. And I'm sure headaches don't discriminate with age anyway. Dr. Susan Higgins is also here. She's a doctor of physical therapy and the clinical director of Strive Rehabilitation at the Bellevue location. And she's been doing this for 24 years. Is that right? Wow. You getting a headache from all this? No. And we're going to talk about headaches. And Brittany and Leah are here too. Thank you, ladies, for coming here. And your mics are on if you want to say something. So.
Thanks for having us.
I think I learned last time. I better keep the mics on just in case.
Just in case we want to jump in.
Because I got so many buttons. I always say, what is Brittany's microphone? It's this one over here. All right, so I got it all set. And Leah, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so headaches can stop me in my tracks. I've had this happen where doing a radio show, it's so hard to focus on who you're talking to. I mean, it'll just take it away from you, and you hear everything. Pinch your earlobe, drink salt water, or gargle with something. Anyway, everybody's got their own thing. Put rag on your head.
Yeah.
Nothing works for me, and I even and I don't like anything like acetaminophen, and I don't like what's the other one called, ibuprofen. Don't like those.
Advil.
Aspirin I can handle, but even it doesn't really seem to work. So. Well, good morning to both of you. Thank you for coming.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us.
So, is a headache? We'll start with that one. Are they all the same?
Not all headaches are the same. It's important to try to identify the symptoms you're having and realize how you're feeling and identify whether it's something severe, something mild, something that needs to, if you need to be seen by a physician, or if you could just take Tylenol, ibuprofen, and help it go away. So it's important to identify what's going on, what symptoms you're having. If it's severe, meaning if, let's say, you have something called like a thunderclap headache, where it comes on all of a sudden.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it's really painful, and let's say, especially if you're older than 50 years of age and you don't really have headaches, and you get a headache just comes on, kind of like a thunderclap would come on, you hear the thunder and it hurts really bad, then you probably need to get evaluated, be seen by a physician, or go directly to the emergency department. Other things to look out for is if you have any neurological symptoms, like if your face is drooling, one of your eyes are droopy or anything at all, difficulty walking, or you're confused, then and you're having a headache, then you need to be seen.
What does that say? What's happening if that's happening?
It could be something going on within the brain. You could be having a hemorrhage, a stroke. Something could be going on.
Oh, really?
So it's definitely you need to be checked out. If you're having a mild headache, like your neck is hurting, and then you're under a lot of stress, you just wake up one day and you get headaches here and there, and you take Tylenol or something and it goes away, then that's fine. But if the pain increases, then I would recommend being evaluated.
Wow, this is kind of a dumb question because I'm guessing there's all kinds of reasons people go to the emergency room. But do people ever have such a bad headache they literally think it's an emergency, they've got to go?
Yeah. I would say if you have a headache where you feel it's the worst headache of your life, if you get a headache and it's so bad, you've never had a headache like this before, ever, go to the emergency room and let the emergency department personnel know this is the worst headache I've ever had in my life, because they will need to do a imaging of your head, a CT of your head, to figure out what's going on, to rule out any major bleed or any severe manifestation.
Wow.
Is there physical therapy, Dr. Higgins, for headaches?
Yes, a lot of it has to do with posture. Some of the triggers for tension headaches are like stress, posture, especially when you hold your head in one certain position, like a lot of us are on computers a lot, and you're in that, and you tend to get stuck there for hours and hours and don't move. So with physical therapy, you can do exercises to kind of relax the muscles, improve your posture, improve the blood flow and make you feel better.
Wow.
And
I was going to say, it's always best to treat a tension headache when it is mild and it's just starting, rather than letting it build up to the point where you're like, oh, no, I really have to do something, or
Yeah.
it knocks you to the couch.
wow, I used to be so familiar with my own that I knew this is a day and a half. And the day and a half would almost always be what it took, a day and a half. I don't know why. I don't know what was going on. I'm glad I didn't get my head scanned, though. Might have found nothing in there. All right, we have phone lines open. If you would like to call and ask, are you doctors okay with that, with taking calls? And we do have a phone call. For everybody who'd like to call, the number is 622-9622. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source hotline. Yes, you will need headphones to hear the caller. Let me wait for the headphones to get on and say good morning. Good morning. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, if your school-age children have headaches, there could be vision issues. They might need to have glasses or contact lenses or have their prescription changed due to eye strain.
And that would that apply? He said school-age children. Thank you. But that could apply to adults too, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could apply to adults as well. If you're having a lot of pain, you're straining your eyes a lot of orbital pain, meaning pain around the eyes, it's important to get your eyes checked and see if you have problems with either seeing far, nearby, or seeing if you have any eye pathology, any abnormal issues going on with your eyes.
Could food trigger a headache?
Yes, like allergies. There's also, if you have inadequate rest or poor posture, anxiety, fatigue, hunger, overexertion, environmental or internal stress, which is usually common sources of stress include the family, including social relationships, friends, work, school, emotional or mental stress, including depression, alcohol use, sleeping in a cold room,
I did
dental
that last
problems.
night. Yeah.
Dental problems, even people that grind their teeth
Yes, I would imagine
clench.
that would do. So your job as doctors, in order to diagnose a headache, it's huge. There's so many things you've got to look at, right? Just something as, I don't want to say simple, but maybe a headache is, I'm thinking it's simple. We do have another phone call. Good morning. Thank you for calling. You're on the air. Nope, no, there's nobody there. Okay, if you would like to be on the air, and I apologize for making you wait, so that's probably why you hung up. 622-9622 is the number to call. Dr. Nelson and Dr. Higgins will answer your questions. Robin and I won't have a clue.
How about a woman's menstrual cycle? Can that bring headaches? And is there something to do for that?
Yeah, some women do develop headaches when they're going through their menstrual cycle. It's most likely due to hormonal changes, things of the sort. And things to do for that, which I like to tell patients, including for like some of the cramping, be ahead of the pain. If let's say your menstrual period is coming on, let's say in 2 days, start taking medication the day before or the day of your when your menstruation begins. Be ahead of the pain. You could take ibuprofen. Take a larger dose than you would usually take. It could be over the counter or prescription strength, and be ahead of the pain so you're not falling over in pain with headache and cramping, and then trying to take the medication to help alleviate the pain, because you'll be waiting for an hour or so and you're in so much pain. But take the medication before to help decrease your chances of having such severe pain.
Wow.
Dr. Nelson is here, as is Dr. Higgins, and we do have a phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with the doctors. Good morning.
My name is Michael, and I'm calling about all this, everything is for skinny people, and you never have anything to help people gain weight. I had cancer, and I've tried all kind of products for gaining weight, and I'm 5'9", and I'm down to like 127 pounds, and it scared me because a lot of times I think my cancer's coming back, and it's not. What can I do?
Good morning. So I would say definitely be evaluated by a physician. There's medications that they could give you to help increase and stimulate your appetite. Sometimes it's appetite problem some individuals have, especially after or while having cancer, and it helps kind of get you to eat more and eat properly. Some individuals that don't eat properly, eat the proper nutrients and foods that'll help them gain weight. Some people just say go ahead and go start eating a lot of fast food. Well, that's not necessarily going to help you gain weight properly. There's a safe way to go about gaining weight, and some medications could definitely help you increase that. And it's prescription strength type of medications, not just over the counter. Some of the over the counter stuff works, but there's certain protocols that we could use to help you increase your weight properly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And do you want to give a phone number they could call you if he has no doctor?
Yeah, so if you want to come in and see us, the number is 352-351-0120. We're located in the Tealbrook Plaza at 2300 Southeast 17th Street. If you didn't catch it, you could just Google me, Dr. Nelson Ocala, and I'm the first name that comes up.
Okay, and you can always call us. We've got it written down, and we'll be glad to repeat it for you over the phone. We do have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Dr. Higgins and Dr. Nelson.
Good morning, doctors. Hey, are there any relationship to migraines and the fronts that come in?
Oh, the weather
with,
fronts?
the storm, the weather fronts. Because it seems like when my husband thinks I'm crazy, but it seems like I'll get a migraine when we'll have a cold front come in or a bad storm that's coming, a hurricane that's out in the ocean. When all of a sudden I'll get a headache that lasts until the storm moves out of here.
Oh, wow.
Well, good morning. I'd like to tell you that you are not crazy. That can occur.
Okay, I'm glad he's listening.
Where different things affect different individuals when it comes to migraines. Sometimes a drastic change in the weather, like Dr. Higgins says, temperature fluctuations can cause you to have a migraine. Certain foods definitely could affect individuals. Even certain fragrances. I have patients where certain perfumes just trigger their migraines, and they get these severe headaches that are uncontrollable until they remove themselves. Sometimes even removing yourself, it takes some time and either some medication to kind of help ease you through the pain. But different triggers
right,
cause.
I take medication for that, and now they've come out. My doctor has put me on maintenance migraine medicine that you take every day to try to keep the migraines at bay.
Yeah, I mean,
you take 2 of them every single day, almost like you do blood pressure medicine. Instead of when you get the migraine, taking the more powerful ones. And it seems to keep, when you get the migraines, that they're not as massive.
Yeah,
they're there, but they're not like debilitating where you have to come home, you have to go to bed.
Yeah, definitely. Some individuals get migraines so bad that they need what we call prophylaxis against the migraine. And, the therapy that you're on, if it's working well for you, then that's great.
All right, thank you for the call.
The verdict is not in yet, but thanks.
Yeah, and I can sympathize, empathize, whatever the proper word is, with everybody, because when you get it, you just want it to go away. So as far as the rehabilitation from a headache, is that a long-term thing?
Well, it's something that you'll have to do for the rest of your life.
Oh,
as
really?
We all do.
That's
well,
long-term.
exercise is
Okay.
very good. Increasing your strength with posture. Sitting when you're sitting at the desk, or when you do, sometimes we get into certain postures we don't even realize, but you do it repetitively, and then you tend to get muscle imbalances. So that type has to be continuous.
Would part of the therapy consist of a person just taking a break?
Yes. There's all different types there's regular exercise, there's acupuncture, there's biofeedback training so that you can learn to relax certain muscles, massage, relaxation techniques, deep breathing, yoga, meditation, and progressive muscle relaxation where you kind of talk yourself to relax.
And to add to that, like if patients come into my office complaining of a headache, we have to first identify what type of headaches they have. Right. And there's 3 different types of headaches. There's migraine with aura, meaning you get certain manifestations where sometimes usually with your vision, you get like these little zigzag type lines. Some individuals get it. Some individuals get like these black spots. Then there's that without aura, and then there's tension headaches that Dr. Higgins talks about, and then there's cluster headaches. And patients usually come in and we'll identify which type, especially if they have tension headaches. And if it's not too severe, we'll go ahead and do, in our office, like I'll do manipulation and kind of relax the musculature and help with that. And we get a lot of good success with that. If it's severe, we'll also work in conjunction with physical therapy. And, a lot of patients get great results when it comes to that.
Can you go blind if you have the aura headaches?
Well, not necessarily go blind, but part of your vision is decreased. So if, let's say, you're looking at an object, you may see like a black dot, where you usually wouldn't see it. Some individuals get that with, different types of diseases concerning the eye. But a lot of individuals, when it comes to migraines, they get that little black spot. It could be different areas where you just can't see in that spot. And it'll last for a few minutes to a few hours.
My mom was on a blood thinner, Coumadin. Is that right? Am I using the right word? Mm-hmm. And her doctor said you cannot take anything for a headache if you get a headache. She couldn't take aspirin, Tylenol, any of those things. Mm-hmm. Is that because the painkillers also thin the blood more? Is that what happens there?
It can add an added effect, causing your blood to thin further.
Which is no good, obviously.
It's not good. So it's it's a
so how do those people treat a headache? Or how do you treat it for them? Help them with it?
It's a balance, really. Some individuals, they could possibly tolerate taking Tylenol as an option, but it just depends. It depends what type of headache they have. Sometimes, like we say, manipulation of things and help them with that, but it just depends on the severity. If it's something like a cluster headache, depending if it's especially male, if it's a cluster headache, giving them oxygen nasally could help decrease the pain.
So there's a difference between a male headache and a female headache?
Not necessarily, but the cluster headaches are like really severe headaches that individuals get, and usually men get it more so than women. And with those type of headaches, and they come on just randomly, sometimes 2 to 3 times a year, but they're really severe. And with that, oxygen seems to be the best treatment for that. So it just depends on the type of headache they have.
Is that behind the eye?
Usually cluster headaches are usually behind the eye, really like lancing type of pain, just real sharp. And, just with that, we get a lot of individuals that come in that it's unbearable, really. It's not really a migraine per se, but it's unbearable pain and certain techniques and things, and those patients usually need what we call prophylaxis with certain medication that prevent them from having that type of pain again.
Wow. So you mentioned something earlier, Dr. Higgins, about exercise and how it'll help. I have a little quick story to tell you. Robin and I, believe it or not, used to ride bicycles a lot. And I remember one day we were on the Withlacoochee Trail, and I said, you know what, I don't really feel really well. I got a bad headache. I don't know that I want to ride. And that's okay, I'll do it anyway. So anyway, rest of the story pretty quick. About a mile into it, we went maybe 10 miles that day. A mile into it, my headache was gone, just simply from riding a bicycle. So I kind of thought, wow, I think I found the secret to getting rid of a headache. So it sounds like you agree with it.
One of the major differences between a migraine headache and a tension headache is a migraine headache will get worse with activity.
Oh, okay.
A tension headache will decrease with activity.
Okay, so I must have had a tension headache.
Yep, and so when you do
it got my attention, that's for sure. Yeah.
How do you give therapy to a woman who is pregnant? Because a lot of women don't want to take anything extra internal to hurt the baby for fear of doing that.
Right. We do, what I would do is start with some heat, relax the muscles, do some good massage and gentle, what we call joint mobs, where you kind of just give a stretch to the muscle and give them some good exercises. And also rest, ice pack in the back of the head, and sometimes a nice long hot shower makes it feel good too.
Could a person go see you at Strive for that therapy before they get a referral from, say, Dr. Nelson, or do they have to see Dr. Nelson first and he gives you a referral?
Well, legally, you can come see us, and we have what they call direct access, so you can come to a physical therapist first. However, there's a little glitch in the plan. The insurances don't want to pay unless they have a note from Dr. Nelson saying
Okay,
it's medically necessary.
Well, that makes sense, right? So, Robin, when you started getting the flu, or maybe Brittany, is headache part of it? Did you get a headache first? Like yesterday, Joe had a bad headache.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I just felt like I needed to lay down, and I stayed there for 3 days.
So, is headache okay?
Headache was secondary
That's what you
for me.
had.
All right, when my son was a little baby, he was given the vaccines that babies get, and he screamed, not because of the needle, but because he had a headache. And that's what the doctors told us. He wasn't even old enough to speak yet. Talk about Alex. and he was screaming. And so, does a vaccine sometimes give you a headache? I mean, just as you're trying to prevent something else, but do you get a headache as a result of it sometimes?
Well, you could have an abnormal reaction with the vaccine. I mean, just like with any medication, they could give you certain medications could cause you to have a side effect of a headache. Usually, headaches sometimes just the manifestations within the head itself. Sometimes it's because of something going on within the body, but usually, like officially, headaches would be defined as like a neurological manifestation via certain hormones that are being expressed that are causing the blood vessels to dilate, which cause you to in turn have a headache by kind of causing some inflammation around the structures of the brain. So really, to say specifically that he had the headache because of, I would like to ask, but he's a baby, so he can't.
So now
really
earlier, doctor, you said something about like the real severe headache where you might have internal bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a headache and bleeding, and I take an aspirin, I'm just going to make it worse.
Yeah.
Aren't I?
Yeah, I mean that's why you gotta assess to see how bad is your headache. If you're greater than 50 years of age and you don't really have headaches, and all of a sudden you
Why is it
develop,
always 50? Why can't it be like 80? Why do I always have to be over the number?
well, I mean based on the research that they see is that individuals that are 50 or greater, we got to be careful and make sure we rule out severe things before we say okay, it's just a normal everyday headache. And if it's very severe and they're having a lot of pain, they're having some of those manifestations, like the droopy eyes and things, and they're confused, their gait, walking is off. So really got to look and see what's going on specifically.
Sometimes when a person has diabetes, they have to be on special medication. If taking that medication gives them a headache, should they keep taking the medication, or if they stop, that would really be detrimental to the diabetes, right?
I mean, if they're taking a medication like for diabetes or any other type of medication, and they're for a certain disease state, and they're having headaches and they're pretty severe, then they need to look at other treatment options. There's other medications that we could give the patient for, let's say, something like diabetes, where they're not having that specific side effect. So it's all about different options that we have, and using something that doesn't have such a bad side effect as really severe headache.
Okay, so we got a couple of ideas on how to maybe treat a headache if we get one. Ice. I like the ice. I like the hot shower. That does seem to work. I get there and I put it right on the back of my neck. The only problem is as soon as I get out of the shower, there it is again. But knock on granite, not in a while. So I mean, I would feel weird just having a headache going to a doctor, to be honest with you. I would feel like I'm wasting his time. It's a headache. I can deal with it. What is your bottom line with that? I mean, should I not feel that way? Should I go to you for a headache?
I mean, not necessarily. If you're having just a normal, you say like a normal headache, like your head hurts, and then you'll take ibuprofen or something, and then the headache goes away, then that's great. But if you're having a headache and it's very severe, and you don't know the origin of the headache, or the headache is just lingering, it's just there, it just won't go away, you take medications and it'll stay there. Or if you're having any other type of manifestations, like you're teary-eyed, and it's so bad that you're having visual issues, or let's say loud noises or light bothers you, then I would say get evaluated to figure out exactly what's going on, and we'll look at different treatment options and give you a complete physical, and then we'll take it from there.
Can you predict a headache coming on from people that are in that high contact sports like football, and they're beating up on each other every week?
I can predict that.
And because I know they have their team doctors and everything, but can they go in for a MRI or something like that, and can you actually see that whatever's going on in their head might transform into a headache?
Well, constant
Nerves.
constant head trauma or concussions or just chronically hitting your head could cause you to have problems
would think
later
so.
on. So that's why a lot of individuals individuals that play contact sports later on, they're having a lot of these issues where dealing with the brain
Yeah.
and things. So
That's what happened to Muhammad Ali, right? I mean, am I right, or did he get Parkinson's or something else?
I mean, it could be secondary to the fact that he got a lot of too many punches in the head, too much trauma to
And
the
is
head.
that hereditary? Headaches, if one person has a migraine, can that be hereditary?
Well, sometimes because of also you have to look at their postures. If your mom tends to sit a certain way, you end up, pretty much the body types stay the same.
Oh, I see.
So it's not like you're inheriting the migraine. It's more the characteristics,
okay,
the postures and the lifestyle.
Oh, that's interesting.
Sometimes migraines can be hereditary. If your mother or father had severe migraines, the likelihood of you developing it increases as well. And even they're noticing kids, about almost 10% of school-age children are having actual migraines.
Oh,
and usually
my.
when you ask their history, their mother or somebody in their family close to them, first degree.
Can we blame sugar for any of it? Does sugar cause headaches?
Sugar can, high concentration of sugar can, especially caffeine. Some of these energy drinks that individuals are drinking with high amounts of caffeine, high amounts of sugar. If let's say they'll go a day and not have it, they have like with a withdrawal headache, and you could get that.
Right.
Well.
That makes sense. Let's squeeze in one more phone call and say good morning. You're on the air with Dr. Nelson and Dr. Higgins.
Yes, good morning, doctors. Is it true that the brain itself cannot feel pain? There's no nerve endings or anything like that. And if that's true, what hurts when you get a headache?
Well, good morning. Great question. It's kind of like to touch on what I was saying before. When it comes to headaches, you have some neuronal hormones that are released, and they affect the blood vessels that surround the brain, and also what they call the dura mater, which is kind of like the structures that surround the brain, and those are what usually gets inflamed, and that's what causes you to have a headache. If you want to get down to the very specifics of what causes a headache, it's those neurotransmitter neuronal hormones that are released that affect that structure, causing that inflammation, and with the inflammation you get the headache.
Yeah, I've heard that too, that the brain can't feel pain, but somebody with a brain tumor feels pain.
Yeah.
So
the thing is that when the brain tumor, as it grows, it presses on other structures,
things, yeah.
and it causes you to have a pain. That's why if somebody is having pain and it's just they don't understand why am I keep having this pain, get evaluated, and if it's necessary for us to get imaging of the brain to rule out any mass or any type of just any abnormality that's going on, that definitely needs to get checked out, especially individuals that are HIV positive and you having any type of severe headache. It's important for you to get evaluated because you could be developing some kind of brain mass or tumor of some sort.
Whoa. Some alarm going off somewhere. I don't know what that is. Well, we need to wrap it up. Dr. Gordonoff Nelson, good to see you again. Dr. Susan Higgins, thank you so much for coming in. I want to thank Ocala Health Systems and, of course, Family Care Specialists and Strive Physical Therapy. And let's give out some phone numbers. Doctor, we'll start with you, Dr. Nelson.
So if you wish to, find a physician to be evaluated, you could call us at 352-351-0120. You could come to our office over at 2300 Southeast 17th Street in Ocala. We're looking for new patients. We're open, and we're willing to help you out any way we can.
All right. And for the gentleman who needed to gain weight, I think he should see somebody. That sounds like something real serious. We don't want to toy with that one, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think he should get evaluated and bring his concerns over to us, and we'll do our best to take care of him.
Yeah. And Dr. Higgins, you want to give a number?
352-307-1200. That's our Bellevue office. That's where I am.
Okay. Is that somebody whistling? Oh, that was your phone? Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Alex has a parrot, and the parrot does the same thing. All of a sudden whistles or does a bomb dropping. Okay. All right.
a lot of fun.
Ladies at the other end, Brittany and Lee, do you want to give out some phone numbers?
Our main consult nurse line is 1-800-530-1188, and you can call that number and get information on different community events that we're doing, seminars that Dr. Nelson and also Dr. Higgins will do as well at our Senior Wellness Community Center and other locations around town. It's a free access line as well, so if you wanted to call at any time, a nurse will pick up the line and you can explain your symptoms or your condition, obviously non-emergent, and they'll help you to say which type of physician you need to see, and we'll get you taken care of.
So many distractions, right, Brittany? Yeah, that's a great number, the consultant nurse number. Okay, that's great. Leah,
It's
do
a
you want
free
to give
service.
free service?
Just our main line is 352-351-8883. And that is the number that you can call. And if you want to reach Dr. Higgins, we can definitely transfer you out to any of our locations, which we have 2 in Ocala, 1 in Bellevue, and 1 in Leesburg.
And that's your phone whistling, right? I mean, just so nobody thinks
It's brand new.
nobody thinks I'm being flippant over here, because I'm going to get blamed. You know that's going to happen. Someone's going to say, Larry, that was so rude of you to whistle while she was talking.
That's right.
I wasn't doing that.
It's rude. My phone whistles at me.
Not bad. Yeah, I should get one of them.
Everyone should be whistled.
Brittany, Leah, Dr. Higgins, and Dr. Nelson, thank you, all 4 of you, for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Good information. And for listeners, if you missed any of that, 2 things. First of all, that whole thing was recorded. It'll be available as a video online, and you'll be able to see it on YouTube as well as the WOCA Facebook page. And if you need any of the phone numbers repeated, just call us. We'll be glad to do that. Again, thank you, all of you. We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting